Hello, welcome to Football United TV. I'm back with Bills from an amazing Champions League final. How did you feel about that? Us being out there? Did you have a good time like me?
It was alright. Shame the game was so bad, but
And
I don't know, it was good.
my mind as well.
It was good going around the city and just sort of seeing what all the fans were up to, and the atmosphere was good, really good, And,
Yeah, I agree.
It's just a shame the game was so poor, but it wasn't, at that moment it wasn't all about the game, it was about what else was going on,
So yeah, same with you, mate. I had a really good time. It was amazing to see. The game wasn't too great, but it was amazing to see the fans coming to life. Like two English clubs, like hasn't happened. Obviously, it's only 2 times it's happened in history. This was the second time, and wow. I had a great time. Bills was, he was a good lad.
Took a while to recover, but yeah, that's good.
So we're going to talk about Aston Villa today, basically.
Yeah, they get some airtime today, yeah.
So we'll start from the start, the playoff final. How did you feel about that result? And what else can I say about that? How did you feel about that?
So honestly, I just couldn't believe we were there in the first place. We had that amazing run of form in the middle of the season, and I don't know, we got the 10 games on the bounce, and even when that form went off, wins were turning into draws. We still weren't losing as many points as we could have done, especially considering the form we'd had beforehand. Obviously, the problems coming out of the championships the last couple of seasons, and just those horrible 3 campaigns in the Premier League after O'Neill. It feels like we're due something. And also, I've seen an Aston Villa captain with his hands on a trophy, and it was '96 Coca-Cola Cup final. Beat United for that one. I wasn't so.
I think we can forget that, but you're yeah.
And Chelsea's handball on the line. Dean Saunders, I remember it so well. But but yeah, I don't know. It's just good to see us. I really do believe we're back where we belong, and I don't think that any team is automatically entitled to being in the Premier League or on a bigger level European competition or whatever just because of their size. You got your Villas, your Leeds, your Nottingham Forest, whatever else, but you've still got to have an infrastructure in place. That was our problem in the Premier League when we were that bad, a few years back. And it looks like we've got people who sort of know what they're doing now. They've got a guy, the captain and the coach right now are both massive die-hard Villa fans. They both die for the club, they'll both do everything. Grealish will stay now, I'd call that 99% sure now that we're up there,
How do you think John Terry has adapted the club as well, pushing up? Do you think it's been a big help, or do you kind of think that it's just a big name that... I don't know, how do you feel?
His impact has been absolutely enormous, and I've never been a big fan of John Terry as a person, but as a professional, he's, as a player, he was phenomenal. He's obviously got great intelligence on the pitch, and, he's made such a huge difference, not just this year, but when he was playing the year before as well. And actually, I said at that point, we weren't ready to go up. We've been too dependent on Terry. And I'm still worried that we're too dependent on people like Tammy Abraham, who may or may not be rejoining us. But his presence there, the difference has been phenomenal.
I think it's absolutely. Like a Fosu Mensah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, from you guys, yeah.
Just a player on loan that you're not necessarily too sure on. Mm-hmm. And neither are the club that own the rights.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, and it's going to be interesting because the big rumours are that he's actually up for doing another season at Villa, whether it's permanent or loan. But you look at the Chelsea transfer ban, you look at Higuain and sort of how he hasn't really performed for them. You look at Hazard, who's been playing false 9 for a lot of the season. The fact he's gone now, and I want him at Villa. Of course, I want another season there. And I think he's ready to make that step up to the Premier League. He is a bit disappointing at Swansea, obviously, but I think Chelsea would be crazy not to take him back on. Because who else they got? They go for Batshuayi if they can't sign any players, or Abraham. Higuain's obviously already in it.
Where is he now? Obviously, he was at Chelsea at one point, but
he went out on loan. I can't remember.
It's one of them ones. Because we know
a couple of weeks after the league finishes. I don't know, man.
We know about Aston Villa's possible transfers. We know about one guy from
Crystal Palace. He was at Crystal Palace. That was it.
Crystal Palace. There you go. We got it in the end.
I think if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. I don't mind.
So what? So what are we thinking of transfers for Aston Villa for the Premier League? Who are we going to get in? There's obviously rumours about Wesley from the Belgium league.
Yeah, and it's been agreed, and and he's just got to pass his medical and get his get his form sorted, etc. Brexit. He sounds good. I mean, he's Brazilian, which doesn't necessarily mean anything really, but he's come over to the Europe. He's done really well in the Belgian league, and obviously that's a really good breeding ground for talent nowadays.
Yeah.
I don't know. The thing is, when you're a newly promoted club, especially a club that's had a few years of sort of bad form, bad luck in a lot of senses, and bad decisions too. We did kind of deserve our relegation and our bad form from a few things that had happened.
It's like when you had a bongo hole, wasn't it, up front?
Hey, he had his moments,
No, he was a good player, but he was like the only good player that you had, and everybody else wasn't doing so well.
It depends what kind of period you're looking at, really. But I don't know. What I'd love to see. Well, I don't know. It'd be funny to see us take Benteke back on loan, and suddenly he's playing for us the way he was when he first came to the Premier League. That'd be amazing. Because it's so sad to see how his career's dropped off. But okay, so I'm looking at rumours. Now, transfer window really is going to make or break a newly promoted club. We can't be doing our business in January. We don't have the money. We don't, we can't be throwing our chips into a basket at that point and wasting money that we could spend more wisely now. So Wesley, don't know much about him. His stats look good. We've got Courtney House from Wolves again. Not spectacular, but certainly good squad building.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of people who've been released on frees that have been linked with Villa, because we've got a lot of good quality players who are either older now or injury prone.
So you're making a bit of room.
I guess
possibly
so.
new signings as well.
Well, so they're talking about Andy Carroll, Gary Cahill, who's obviously played for Villa already. Who else? Daniel Sturridge. We were talking about this earlier. Those are sort of the main three that I've seen, other than Abraham, and the players that we've already signed, including that guy from Birmingham, Jota. That'll be interesting.
Yes.
I just don't know enough about the guy, but these are all quality players. But if we've got the back room to keep them fit, they would actually be able to keep us up. I really think so. But that means a lot, because
So what do you think? Obviously, you went up, Norwich had gone up, and who else went up?
Sheffield United.
There you go. So how do you think you compare between Norwich and Sheffield on transfers and staying up in the Premier League? Do you think it's a possibility? Out of the three, who do you think is more viable? And I know you're going to probably give your fan opinion, say Aston Villa will be. They should be, for the stadium and the support, but...
And the money.
And the money, yeah, definitely. But then you look at Wolves, no one thought that they were going to stay up.
Well, I disagree with that.
You realise they've got the money, they've got...
I'd actually disagree with that, dude.
George Mendes working with them, who's an agent for a lot of big players, Portuguese players.
They actually, because they strolled it. They really strolled it when they were in the Championship, and they already had the Premier League quality players. And like you say, they had the connections. They could sort of continue feeding us.
Do you think that's unfair play that had to have an agent as working in your club?
The same way
Making
you could say,
put your players into them straight away instead of
the same way you could talk about Watford and their links with Serie A and
Udinese,
stuff.
Udinese and Granada.
But you know what? I do begrudge Watford what they've done. I say fair play to them. What they haven't done is go.
But it's a little bit different. Only because it's the club to the club, and not through agents. Whereas an agent can just give. He can just push his... Because obviously Jorge Mendes is Portuguese, and he has a lot of Portuguese player on his books. And you look at Wolves as well. And I don't give them discredit. I think Wolves have done very good, and I think I applaud them for what they've done. Do you think Aston Villa could do similar things?
Well, for a start, arguably Wolves' best player this season was actually Matt Doherty. Now, to be honest, it's a contentious point, and if someone were to come and mention one of the Portuguese,
Neves, but
Neves, for example, or the guy who got me at those schools in fantasy football. No, the striker. What's wrong with me? Jimenez and people like that.
Yeah.
But,
I like Dallo
and Cotta and things like that.
Oh, sorry, not Dallo. Diogo Rojo. No, Diogo
Cotta.
Yeah. I get mixed up with Diogo Dallo and Diogo Rojo.
But they had Matt Doherty's been with that team for years, as far as I know, and it's not just a super agent playing on their behalf. They had most of that talent there already. yeah, they're capitalising on a connection that they sort of built through. I don't even know how they got this connection made, but they've done a good job. I mean, as a United fan, most of your 90s success was built on strong marketing and having the best manager of his generation. These advantages come and go, you know?
You buy Eric Cantona for 1 million, you buy Roy Keane for 1 million.
You know, but you get what I mean, you know. As long as we're not talking about PSG, Real, City, Chelsea, at points United, you know, just pissing money away basically left, right and centre, which Villa did in the Championship a couple of years ago too. I'm not saying we haven't gone ahead and done something like this ourselves, but we tried to buy it, it just didn't work. However, I don't know, I still respect what Liverpool are doing. What Wolves are doing. And, so I had a couple of
We do respect Liverpool as well.
Well, sure, that's a different. We spent the whole weekend on that. But, I don't know. The original question was actually about the three teams and who's more likely to do it. I'd say probably Norwich because they got the recent Premier League experience that didn't involve the kind of free fall that Villa had. Sheffield United, I was born in Sheffield despite the lack of accent. I'm actually more blue than red, but they look so impressive and their manager looks just fantastic. And it's just, I don't think they've got the resource to deal with it. So despite them being by far and out the better team of the three, well, Norwich won it, but honestly, the more interesting, I guess, the more enticing team of the three, I think they'd probably be the most likely to go straight down. It could be all three, it could be either one of Villa or Norwich to join them, I don't know.
So that's a good question to ask you. On Aston Villa, where do you hope they'll finish? And then realistically, in a mentality thing, where do you think they probably will?
Well, the hope is as good as possible. So first,
the hope is like first.
No one's cracking City or Liverpool.
Of course, the hope is first. The heart says first, but what does the mind say?
Well, we're not going to have a Wolves season. That takes something special there. We've got a good team. We've got a decent ambition, etc. You know, and a good back room and a good board. But we're not going to get anywhere near that Wolves team. They were already second place. That's kind of what I spent on.
And Watford done well as well, didn't they?
Yeah, but it still took them time, you know.
Best Premier League position they've had ever.
Watford, the reason I'm impressed with Watford is because their strategy is terrible. And it failed for so long, but then suddenly it just exploded and they're in this good place. And I think the chairman's suddenly realised, okay, stick with what's actually working and go with it. But I don't know. One thing you can say is Villa. This is a huge thing to say actually, but I really think regardless of what happens, Dean Smith will still have his job next year. Even if we're flat bottom by Christmas, I think the board are smart enough now to say, okay, if it looks like we're going down, let's go down with grace and with a rebuild strategy, you know? It sounds pretty negative. I do think we're going to go straight back down, to be honest. But if we were to actually make a surprise, like you say, what I think realistically might happen in the most positive way, lower mid-table, you know, 13th, 14th, 15th, that kind of thing. Are there three teams worse than us in the Premier League? Let's discount the other promoted teams. Let's discount Norwich and Sheffield United. Like, as the league stood at the end of last year, could you pick three teams who either already could be worse than a strong championship team or
Fulham
had the potential for free fall? Well, Fulham have gone. Let's go right. Ignore anyone relegated or promoted, just the kind of core Premier League you've got right there. West Ham have always got potential to go into free fall, but they've been making some smart decisions nowadays that they didn't.
I think
really
with Pellegrini, he is the sort of manager that can sort of bring in good talent. Obviously, being at Man City as well, and people appreciate the way he manages clubs.
Well, there's an air of stability about the guy as well. I know he had a lot of money to burn at City, but he also got the job done and did it in a good, solid, professional way. It's his kind of professionalism that will help, I think, and his experience. I think, and this is off the top guess, I think he's already had experience for a relegation battle when he was working in Spain.
Possibly, yeah.
Different school of thought for a few reasons, but that will help him to some extent. You compare that again to Dean Smith, our manager, say, you know, that actually leads to a more experienced guy. Who else would you say? Maybe Southampton, but actually they're looking solid now. The young players are sort of starting to form. They've got the right manager, it seems. You know.
Yeah, he seems really good, doesn't he?
So the more we talk about this, the more I'm kind of convinced that we are followed for relegation. You know, I think it takes more.
You look at Bournemouth, you look at Watford. The way that they were always going to say that they were going to go down every year they've been in the Premier League, and they haven't. So I feel you just never know. I think the clubs that come up have always got a good chance because they're underdogs. They're underrated, and people think, oh, we'll be all right. We'll be able to put out a weaker team. We might be able to win that, and then they realise that they're actually facing a championship team that deserves to be in the Premier League, and there's no doubt that there's definitely going to. It's a tough task.
Well, what we got with Villa, and it's something we haven't had since O'Neill, you know, is we've got a genuine fear factor now, which might sound a little bit weird considering where we've just come from, but like, I don't know, look at our first game of the season. We're away to Spurs, Champions League finalists, beaten, probably a little bit beaten down by that result and the experience, but they're Champions League finalists, they're fourth in the end, wasn't it? And, but they're still a top Premier League team. We're away to them. They're going to be absolutely 100% expecting to beat us. They're going to be expecting to dominate us in all areas of the park. They're going to be expecting to beat us at all aspects of the game as well, like countering as well as possession, as well as anything else, you know, as well as aerial battles, etc., etc. But we've always got on our side the fact that it's not a win-win, but we can't lose in that sense. We might lose the match, but it's what everyone's expecting. It's like when we actually used to have a decent enough record against the bigger teams, even when we were terrible. We'd just be really bad against the teams.
So can I ask your match prediction for Aston Villa versus Spurs?
They're going to beat it. No. You know what? I'm going to say.
Come on.
1-0.
1-1.
It's not going to happen.
That's a good start.
They'll probably beat us, but I'm going for an optimistic 1-0 because we're back, you know, like, and Spurs have got this fallibility. Before Villa got promoted, they were my Premier League team. I've always liked Spurs, and I was supporting them for the final, and, you know, there are a lot of things I like about them, but we're back. We've got to make an impact, you know. This is the chance. It's the chance to step up.
Well done to Aston Villa.
It's the chance to get right up in the face of a big team, a team that's got vulnerability as well. After the whole summer, who knows? But you know, and they're not going to be very familiar with our players. They're not going to be familiar with our style. They're not going to be focusing on us when they're thinking about the grand scheme of the Premier League. So we might just have a chance. I'm thinking about going back early from Spain to catch the game as well.
I might go with him as well. Thank you very much, Bills.
My pleasure, always.
Pleasure. And please subscribe, share, like, do what you can. And thank you very much for tuning in to me and Bills. Been a pleasure working with this guy on this channel, man, and he's been a great help. Thank you, mate. Thank you very much.
Pleasure for having me. Always happy to help. And like, subscribe, and all that shiznit.
All that shiznit, you know, in a bowl, you know, eat it up. Thank you very much. Cheers. Bye.